I'm going to take you through the Prevalence Dashboard done by the TCST and PHE partnership, which provides a resource that brings several prevalence data sources into one place. We did this because it's important that localities really understand what their prevalent population looks like to inform service planning. As well as being useful for planning services, prevalence is a product of both cancer incidence and survival, so it's important to consider this context for your locality. It can be found on the HLP website and is publicly available. If you see just across the top here, you have a scroll bar that you can scroll across here to get to the different tabs. The data is split by CCG, by STP and Cancer Alliance. If we look at the CCG tab here, you can filter by geography. And once you filter by geography, you'll see your counts below will change. So here you have your prevalence count split by male and female, the age and sex distribution, the ethnic breakdown, the deprivation breakdown, and time since diagnosis. And if you hover over different parts, you will get further information on there. If you go to your CCG Prevalence Proportions tab, you'll see the prevalence mapped out in two maps here, with the darker colours being the higher prevalence. And you can zoom in and out as you wish. You can screen grab graphs or maps off here, but you can also download them from this button here just in the bottom right. So here you will see we have the map of prevalence. We have it in a bar graph here with Tower Hamlets of a prevalence of 1.4% down to Bromley of 3.6%. We then have QoF completeness compared to the cancer registry. So this QoF comparison shows a comparison between the amount of patients on the primary care register compared to the National Cancer Registration and Analysis Service at PHE. And then we have the proportion of prevalent population with a subsequent primary cancer who may have more complex needs. So it is important to understand a bit more about them. We then have CCG prevalence proportion graphs. Just because there are so many CCGs, this maps out in a bit of a clearer format. You can filter by sex to get the prevalence by sex. So for example, if we look at females, we can then see 1.6% of women in Tower Hamlets were living with a cancer diagnosis. You then have the proportion of subsequent primaries and the QoF completeness again there. So when we get to STP and Cancer Alliance, we can actually filter down into sex and age. So you have a bit more interactivity. So if we select an STP here, you can then select males by clicking on this segment there, and you will see all the counts have changed. So this is now just males in North East London STP. You can then hit escape to exit that and return back to males and females, and you can filter by age as well. So if you want to see 20 to 64-year-olds, you click on them there. If you then want to see males as well as females, you just hold Control and click the other 20 to 64-year-olds, and now that's filtered by age. Similarly, we have STP prevalence proportions mapped, and you can highlight the geographies if you want to find one just by doing that there. So if we move over, Cancer Alliance and is the same format as the STPs, so we'll go on to prevalence by sex. So here you can add CCGs to this at the bottom, but it makes it quite busy. So again, you can highlight to find it a bit clearer, and you can see the prevalence by sex there. You then move on to prevalence by age. So you have the different age groups. If I remove CCG, it's slightly clearer. You can actually sort these from largest to smallest. So if you want to sort it on the 75-year-old age band, you then click this button here and it will sort it. And equally, you can do it on the different age bands. When we look at prevalence by cancer site, you can see you can select which sex you start with. You select a tumour group, and then you will see the rates shown here, which is per 100,000 people in the population. So if you remove CCGs, again, that's slightly clearer. And again, you have your mappings here on the left by CCG, STP and Cancer Alliance. If we move to prevalence counts by cancer site, you select your geography there, and then you have your cancer sites. We then have prevalence 2030 projections, where we have projected the prevalence count for 2030, again, broken down in the table into different geographies, which you can remove or add to the table. Again, you can highlight there. We then have further breakdowns by the subsequent primaries. So these are patients living with a subsequent primary diagnosis, and you'll see further detail on them in a similar format than you've seen previously. We then also have methods at the end here, and at the very front we have a bit more background information for you.